Sonnets and Odes by Francesco Petrarca. Translated by John Knott. Dedication. To Richard Heber, Esquire. Sir, your eminent acquirements in every branch of polite literature and distinguished reputation will exempt me from all suspicion of flattery, when I confess myself proud in being permitted to inscribe to you this little volume. I sincerely wish its merit was such as might justly entitle it to your regard. I trust, however, it will be accepted as a proof of the high esteem I bear your character, in which I know not whether to admire most the correctness of your taste and the extensiveness of your erudition, or that generous ardour and liberality of spirit which lead you to encourage every attempt towards enlarging the bounds and facilitating the attainment of knowledge. I am, Sir, your very faithful and obliged servant, the Translator. August 1st, 1808. A praise of Petrarch and of Laura his lady, from Songs and Sonnets of Uncertain Auctors, subjoined to the poems of Henry Howard, Earl of Surrey, and of Sir Thomas Wyatt the elder. Richard Tottle's edition, 1557. O Petrarch, head and prince of poets all, whose lively gift of flowing eloquence well may we seek, but find not how nor whence so rare a gift with thee did rise and fall. Peace to thy bones, and glory immortal be to thy name, and to her excellence, whose beauty lighted in thy time and sense, so to be set forth as none other shall. Why hath not our pens rhymes so parfit wrought, nay why our time forth bringeth beauty such to try our wits as gold is by the touch, if to the style the matter aided aught. But there was never Laura more than one, and her had Petrarch for his paragon. Advertisement. Before I exhibit what would appear to me some of the most beautiful, and certainly some of the most esteemed sonnets and odes of Petrarch, both in their original form and in an English dress, it may not be impertinent to remark that hitherto the celebrity of the great Tuscan has, with the generality of his readers at least, rested entirely on his amorous and poetical compositions. These in Italian consist of 317 sonnets, 49 odes, canzoni, some of which are denominated sestine, ballate, or madrigali, and 6 poems entitled triumphs or pageants, most of them divided into parts, capitoli. But it ought to be understood that they form a very inconsiderable, and in one point of view, not the most meritorious part of his works. Petrarch was one of the first moral philosophers that any age has produced, and the revival of letters owes as much to his taste, genius, and industry as to those of any other individual literature has to boast. This will be in a great measure evident from a list of his works, which to the curious reader may not prove unacceptable, extracted from the Basel edition of 1581 in folio. 1. Of the Remedies against Good and Bad Fortune, 2 books. 2. Of Solitary Life, 2 books. 3. Of the Leisure of Monastic Persons, 2 books. 4. Of True Wisdom, 2 dialogues. 5. Of Contempt of the World, 3 dialogues. 6. On the 7 Penitential Psalms. 7. Concerning the best administration of government. 8. On the duties and virtues of commanders. 9. Of memorable things, 4 books. 10. An abridgment of the lives of illustrious men. 11. An exhortation to restore peace to Italy. 12. An oration to the ancient defenders of the Roman state. 13. An exhortation to attempt the recovery of liberty. 14. Concerning the fidelity and obedience of wives. 15. Of the shunning avarice. 16. An itinerary to the Holy Land. 17. Letters on his own affairs, 8 books. 18. To some of the most illustrious of the ancients, 1 book. 19. Without any address, 1 book. 20. Concerning his affairs in his old age, 16 books. 21. On various subjects, 1 book. 22. On ignorance both of one's own self and others. 23. A reply to the invective of an anonymous Frenchman. 24. An invective against a certain physician, 4 books. 25. Letters relative to his obtaining the laurel. Petrarch wrote in Latin verse: 1. Pastoral Eclogues. 2. Africa, an heroic poem on a Carthaginian war, 12 books. 3. Epistles, 3 books. Besides what are published, there are extant in several libraries in Italy, and in the National Library at Paris, in manuscript, many small tracts, and a great number of letters, addressed by Petrarch to the most eminent characters of his times, which are described, by those who have consulted them, as highly curious and interesting. Nothing is more called for, or would prove more acceptable, than a complete and correct edition of Petrarch's Latin works. Of the existing editions, that of 1501, by Simon de Luere, and that of Marco Origano, 1516, dated by mistake 1416, both printed at Venice, are considered the best. The 2 Basel editions of 1554 and 1581, though most common, are by far the worst. In many places the typographical errors render entire passages inexplicable. Sonnet 1. O ye, who list in scattered verse the sound of all those sighs with which my heart I fed, what time by youthful error first misled, when I, unlike the present man, was found; who list the plaints, the reasonings that abound throughout my song, by hopes and vain griefs bred, if e'er true love its influence o'er ye shed, O let your pity be with pardon crowned! But now full well I see how to the crowd for length of time I proved a public jest, e'en by myself my folly is allowed, and of my vanity the fruit is shame, repentance, and a knowledge strong impressed that worldly pleasure is a passing dream. Sonnet 2. For many a crime at once to make me smart, and a delicious vengeance to obtain, Love secretly took up his bow again, as one who acts the cunning coward's part. My courage had retired within my heart, there to defend the pass bright eyes might gain, when his dread archery was poured amain, where blunted erst had fallen every dart. Scared at the sudden brisk attack, I found nor time nor vigour to repel the foe with weapons suited to the direful need, no kind protection of rough rising ground, where from defeat I might securely speed, which fain I would e'en now, but ah! no method, no. Sonnet 3. Intemperance, slumber, and the slothful down have chased each virtue from this world away. Hence is our nature nearly led astray from its due course, by habitude o'erthrown. Those kindly lights of heaven so dim are grown, would shed o'er human life instruction's ray, that him with scornful wonder they survey, who would draw forth the stream of Helicon. Whom doth the laurel please or myrtle now? Naked and poor, Philosophy, art thou? The worthless crowd, intent on lucre, cries. Few on thy chosen road will thee attend. Yet let it more incite thee, gentle friend, to prosecute thy high conceived emprise. Sonnet 4. Beneath those very hills, where beauty threw her mantle first o'er that earth-moulded fair, who oft from sleep, while shedding many a tear, awakens him that sends us unto you. Our lives in peacefulness and freedom flew, e'en as all creatures wish who hold life dear. Nor deemed we aught could in its course come near, whence to our wanderings danger might accrue. But from wretched state to which we're brought, leaving another with sereneness fraught, nay, e'en from death, one comfort we obtain, that vengeance follows him who sent us here, another's utmost thraldom doomed to bear. Bound he now lies with a still stronger chain. Ode I. Wherefore, my unkind fair one, say, whether the sun fierce darts his ray, or whether gloom o'erspreads the sky, that envious veil is ne'er thrown by. Though well you read my heart, and knew how much I longed your charms to view, while I concealed each tender thought that my fond mind's destruction wrought, your face with pity sweetly shone. But when love made my passion known, your sunny locks were seen no more, nor smiled your eyes as heretofore. Behind a jealous cloud retired those beauties which I most admired. And shall a veil thus rule my fate? O cruel veil, that whether heat or cold be felt, art doomed to prove fatal to me, shadowing the lights I love. Sonnet V. My life, sweet lady, could I but maintain free from all rigorous torment and from care, that I might view through each declining year your beauteous eyes no longer bright remain. Your locks of fine gold silver whiteness gain, those gay green robes, the wreaths you wont to wear, thrown by, and faded that face so fair, which makes me slow and fearful to complain. Love then at least such daring should inspire, that of the sufferings I've been doomed to feel, the years, days, hours, I might to you reveal. And though the period suit not fond desire, yet the soft griefs that in my bosom rise, still may she mitigate with tardy sighs. Sonnet VI. Ashamed sometimes thy beauties should remain as yet unsung, sweet lady, in my rhyme. When first I saw thee, I recall the time, pleasing as none shall ever please again. But no fit polish can my verse attain, not mine is strength to try the task sublime. My genius, measuring its power to climb, from such attempt doth prudently refrain. Full oft I oped my lips to chant thy name, then in mid-utterance the lay was lost. But say, what muse can dare so bold a flight? Full oft I strove in measure to endite, but the pen, the hand, the vein I boast at once were vanquished by the mighty theme. Sonnet VII. 1,000 times, sweet warrior, to obtain peace with those beauteous eyes I've vainly tried, proffering my heart, but with that lofty pride to bend your looks so lowly you refrain. Expects a stranger fair that heart to gain, in frail fallacious hopes will she confide. It never more to me can be allied, since what you scorn, dear lady, I disdain. In its sad exile, if no aid you lend, banished by me, and it can neither stay alone, nor yet another's call obey. Its vital course must hasten to its end. Ah me! How guilty then we both should prove, but guilty you the most, for you it most doth love. Ode II. Each creature, on whose wakeful eyes the bright sun pours his golden fire, by day a destined toil pursues. And when heaven's lamps illume the skies, all to some haunt for rest retire, till a fresh dawn that toil renews. But I, when a new morn doth rise, chasing from earth its murky shades, while ring the forests with delight, find no remission of my sighs, and soon as night her mantle spreads, I weep and wish returning light. Again, when eve bids day retreat, or other climes to dart its rays, pensive those cruel stars I view, which influence thus my amorous fate, and imprecate that beauty's blaze, which o'er my form such wildness threw. No forest surely in its glooms nurtures the savage so unkind as she, who bids these sorrows flow. Me nor the dawn nor sleep o'ercomes. For, though of mortal mould, my mind feels more than passion's mortal glow. Ere up to you, bright orbs, I fly, or to love's bower speed down my way, while here my mouldering limbs remain, let me her pity once espy, thus, rich in bliss, one little day shall recompense whole years of pain. Be Laura mine at set of sun, let heaven's fires only mark our loves, and the day ne'er its light renew. My fond embrace may she not shun, nor, Phoebus-like, through laurel groves may I a nymph transformed pursue. But I shall cast this mortal veil on earth, and stars shall gild the noon, ere such bright scenes have birth. Sonnet 8. Throughout the Orient now began to flame the star of love, while o'er the northern sky that which has oft raised Juno's jealousy poured forth its beauteous scintillating beam. Beside her kindled hearth the housewife dame, half dressed and slipshod, 'gan her distaff ply. And now the wonted hour of woe drew nigh, that wakes to tears the lover from his dream. When my sweet hope unto my mind appeared, not in the customed way unto my sight, for grief had bathed my lids, and sleep had weighed. Ah me! how changed that form by love endeared! Why lose thy fortitude? methought she said. These eyes not yet from thee withdraw their light. Sonnet 9. O Phoebus, if that fond desire remains, which fired thy breast near the Thessalian wave, if those bright tresses, which such pleasure gave, through lapse of years thy memory not disdains, from sluggish frosts, from rude inclement rains, which last the while thy beams our region leave, that honoured sacred tree from peril save, whose name of dear accordance waked our pains. And by that amorous hope which soothed thy care, what time expectant thou wert doomed to sigh, dispel those vapours which disturb our sky. So shall we both behold our favourite fair with wonder, seated on the grassy mead, and forming with her arms herself a shade. Sonnet 10. All solitary, lost in thought, I stray, measuring with slow slack step the plains most drear, and round me look, intent on flight, where'er the tread of humankind may print the way. To shield me from the observant world's survey, no other refuge I discover near. For all my acts such lack of joyance wear, they show without what fires within me prey. Nay, well I ween that ever is revealed, to mountain, river, forest, and to plain, my woe of life, from mortal race concealed. But rough and rugged haunts I seek in vain. Still in those haunts am I by love assailed, who converse with me holds, which I in turn maintain. Sonnet 11. My rival, in whose face you're wont to view your own bright eyes, which love and heaven adore, with beauty not its own delights, you more than all that's fair in mortal guise could do. Its counsel, lady, which with cause I rue, compels me from my home so sweet before. Unhappy exile! Merit gives no power to share a station occupied by you. But to your glass, if I transferred could be, not your proud image only should you see, becoming self-enamoured, to my cost. Rightly reflect upon Narcissus' fate, both his and yours a like event await, although no soil has worth so choice a flower to boast. Sonnet 12. Although from falsehood I did thee restrain with all my power, and paid thee honour due, ungrateful tongue, yet never did accrue honour from thee but shame and fierce disdain. Most art thou cold, when most I want the strain thy aid should lend, while I for pity sue. And all thy utterance is imperfect too, when thou dost speak, and as the dreamer's vain. Ye too, sad tears, throughout each lingering night upon me wait, when I alone would stay. But needed by my peace, you take your flight. And, all so prompt anguish and grief t'impart, your sighs, then slow and broken breathe your way. My looks alone truly reveal my heart. Ode 3. What time towards the western skies the sun with parting radiance flies, and other climes gilds with expected light, some aged pilgrim dame who strays alone, fatigued, through pathless ways, hastens her step and dreads the approach of night. Then, the day's journey o'er, she'll steep her sense awhile in grateful sleep, forgetting all the pain and peril past. But I, alas, find no repose, each sun to me brings added woes, while light's eternal orb rolls from us fast. When the sun's wheels no longer glow, and hills their lengthened shadows throw, the hind collects his tools and carols gay, then spreads his board with frugal fare, such as those homely acorns were, which all revere, yet casting them away. Let those, who pleasure can enjoy, in cheerfulness their hours employ, while I, of all earth's wretches most unblest, whether the sun fierce darts his beams, whether the moon more mildly gleams, taste no delight, no momentary rest. When the swain views the star of day quench in the pillowing waves its ray, and scatter darkness o'er the eastern skies, rising, his customed crook he takes, the beechwood, fountain, plain forsakes, as calmly homeward with his flock he hies. Remote from man, then on his bed, in cot or cave, with fresh leaves spread, he courts soft slumber, and suspense from care. While thou, fell love, bidst me pursue that voice, those footsteps which subdue my soul, yet movest not the obdurate fair. Locked in some bay, to taste repose on the hard deck, the sailor throws his coarse garb o'er him, when the car of light, Granada, with Morocco leaves, the pillars famed, Iberia's waves, and the world hushed, and all its race in night. But never will my sorrows cease, successive days their sum increase, though just 10 annual suns have marked my pain. Say, to this bosom's poignant grief, who shall administer relief? Say, who at length shall free me from my chain? And since there's comfort in the strain, I see at eve along each plain and furrowed hill the unyoked team return. Why at that hour will no one stay my sighs, or bear my yoke away? Why, bathed in tears, must I unceasing mourn? Wretch that I was, to fix my sight First on that face with such delight, Till on my thought its charms were strong impressed, Which force shall not efface, nor art, Ere from this frame my soul dispart, Nor know I then if passion's votaries rest. O hasty strain devoid of worth, Sad as the bard who brought thee forth, Show not thyself, be with the world at strife, From nook to nook indulge thy grief, While thy lorn parent seeks relief, Nursing that amorous flame which feeds his life. Ode 4. Though cruelty denies my view Those charms which led me first to love, To passion yet will I be true, Nor shall my will rebellious prove. Amid the curls of golden hair That wave those beauteous temples round, Cupid spread craftily the snare With which my captive heart he bound. And from those eyes he caught the ray, Which thawed the ice that fenced my breast, Chasing all other thoughts away With brightness suddenly impressed. But now that hair of sunny gleam, Ah me, is ravished from my sight, Those beauteous eyes withdraw their beam, And change to sadness past delight. A glorious death by all is prized, 'Tis death alone shall break my chain. Oh, be love's timid wail despised, Lovers should nobly suffer pain. Ode 5. Since human life is frail, and genius trembles at the lofty theme, I little confidence in either place. But let my tender wail there, where it ought, Deserved attention claim, that wail which e'en in silence we may trace. O beauteous eyes, where love doth nestling stay! To you I turn my insufficient lay, Unapt to flow. But passion's goad I feel. And he, of you who sings, Such courteous habit by the strain is taught, That, borne on amorous wings, He soars above the reach of vulgar thought. Exalted thus, I venture to reveal What long my cautious heart has laboured to conceal. Yes, well do I perceive To you how wrongful is my scanty praise, Yet the strong impulse cannot be withstood, That urges, since I viewed What fancy to the sight before ne'er gave, What ne'er before graced mine, or higher lays. Bright authors of my sadly pleasing state, That you alone conceive me, well I know, When to your fierce beams I become as snow. Your elegant disdain Haply then kindles at my worthless strain. Did not this dread create Some mitigation of my bosom's heat, Death would be bliss, for greater joy 'twould give With them to die, without them than to live. If not consumed quite, I, the weak object of a flame so strong, 'Tis not that safety springs from native might, But that some fear restrains, which chills The current circling through my veins, Strengthening this heart that it may suffer long. O hills, O vales, O forests, floods, and fields, Ye who have witnessed how my sad life flows, Oft have ye heard me call on death for aid. Ah, state surcharged with woes! To stay destroys, and flight no succour yields. But had not higher dread withheld, Some sudden effort I had made To end my sorrows and protracted pains, Of which the beauteous cause insensible remains. Why lead me, grief, astray From my first theme to chant a different lay? Let me proceed where pleasure may invite. 'Tis not of you I plain, O eyes, beyond compare serenely bright, Nor yet of him who binds me in his chain. Ye clearly can behold the hues that love Scatters oft time on my dejected face, And fancy may his inward workings trace There where, whole nights and days, He rules with power derived from your bright rays. What rapture would ye prove, if you, dear lights, upon yourselves could gaze? But, frequent as you bend your beams on me, what influence you possess, you in another see. Oh, if to you were known that beauty which I sing, immense, divine, as unto him on whom its glories shine, the heart had then o'erflown with joy unbounded, such as is denied unto that nature which its acts doth guide. How happy is the soul for you that sighs, celestial lights, which lend a charm to life, and make me bless what else I should not prize! Ah, why, so seldom why, afford what ne'er can cause satiety? More often to your sight, why not bring love, who holds me constant strife? And why so soon of joys despoil me quite, which ever and anon my tranced soul delight? Yes, debted to your grace, frequent I feel throughout my inmost soul unwonted floods of sweetest rapture roll, relieving so the mind that all oppressive thoughts are left behind, and of 1,000 only one has place, for which alone this life is dear to me. Oh, might the blessing of duration prove not equalled then could my condition be! But this would haply move in others envy, in myself vain pride. That pain should be allied to pleasure is, alas, decreed above. Then, stifling all the ardour of desire, homeward I turn my thoughts, and in myself retire. So sweetly shines revealed the amorous thought within your soul which dwells, that other joys it from my heart expels. Hence I aspire to frame lays whereon hope may build a deathless name, when in the tomb my dust shall lie concealed. At your approach anguish and sorrow fly, these as your beams retire again draw nigh, yet outward acts their influence ne'er betray. For doting memory dwells on the past and chases them away. Whatever then of worth my genius ripens owes to you its birth, to you all honour and all praise is due, myself a barren soil, and cultured but by you. Thy strains, O song, appease me not, but fire, chanting a theme that wings my wild desire. Trust me, thou shalt ere long a sister song acquire. Sonnet XIII. When Simon at my wish the proud design conceived, which in his hand the pencil placed, had he, while loveliness his picture graced, but added speech and mind to charms divine? What sighs he then had spared this breast of mine, that bliss had given to higher bliss distaste? For when such meekness in her look was traced, 'twould seem she soon to kindness might incline. But, urging converse with the portrayed fair, methinks she deigns attention to my prayer, though wanting to reply the power of voice. What praise thyself, Pygmalion, hast thou gained, forming that image whence thou hast obtained 1,000 times what, once obtained, would me rejoice? Sonnet XIV. Her golden tresses on the wind she threw, which twisted them in many a beauteous braid, and in her fine eyes burning glances played with lovely light, which now they seldom show. Ah, then it seemed her face wore pity's hue, yet haply fancy my fond sense betrayed. Nor strange that I, in whose warm heart was laid love's fuel, suddenly enkindled grew. Not like a mortal's did her step appear, angelic was her form, her voice, methought, poured more than human accents on the ear. A living sun was what my vision caught, a spirit pure, and though not such still found, unbending of the bow ne'er heals the wound. Sonnet 15. Weep, beauteous damsels, and let Cupid weep, of every region weep ye lover train. He who so skilfully attuned his strain to your fond cause is sunk in death's cold sleep. Such limits let not my affliction keep, as made the solace of soft tears restrain, and to relieve my bosom of its pain, be all my sighs tumultuous, uttered deep. Let song itself, and votaries of verse, breathe mournful accents o'er our Cino's bier, who late is gone to number with the blest. O weep, Pistoia, weep your sons perverse, its choicest habitant has fled our sphere, and heaven may glory in its welcome guest. Sonnet 16. When Egypt's traitor Pompey's honoured head to Caesar sent, then, records so relate, to shroud a gladness manifestly great, some feigned tears the specious monarch shed. And, when misfortune her dark mantle spread o'er Hannibal and his afflicted state, he laughed midst those who wept their adverse fate, that rank despite to wreak defeat had bred. Thus doth the mind oft variously conceal its several passions by a different veil, now with a countenance that's sad, now gay. So mirth and song, if sometimes I employ, 'tis but to hide those sorrows that annoy, 'tis but to chase my amorous cares away. Sonnet 17. Yes, out of impious Babylon I'm flown, whence flown all shame, whence banished is all good, that nurse of error, and of guilt the bode, to lengthen out a life which else were gone. There, as love prompts, while wandering alone, I now a garland weave, and now an ode. With him I commune, and in pensive mood hope better times. This only checks my moan. Nor for the throng, nor fortune do I care, nor for myself, nor sublunary things. No ardour outwardly, or inly springs. I ask two persons only, let my fair for me a kind and tender heart maintain, and be my friend secure in his high post again. Sonnet 18. The pallid tint of loveliness, which threw a tender cloud upon her smiling face, came to my heart with such an awful grace, that in my looks that heart to meet it flew. Then how in paradise the blessed view each other I perceived, e'en so took place the gentle sentiment none else could trace, save me, whose gaze no other object knew. The most angelic look that face could wear, the mildest manners female love could show, compared with what I sing might scorn appear. To earth she calmly bent her decent brow, and silently she said, or seemed to say, "Who bears far hence my faithful friend away?" Ode 6. Oh that my cheeks were taught by the fond wasting thought to wear such hues as could its influence speak! Then the dear scornful fair might all my ardour share, and where love slumbers now he might awake. Lest off the hill and mead my wearied feet should tread, less oft, perhaps, these eyes with tears should stream. If she, who cold as snow, with equal fire would glow, she who dissolves me, and converts to flame. Since love exerts his sway, and bears my sense away, I chant uncouth and inharmonious songs. Nor leaves nor blossoms show, nor rind upon the bough, what is the nature which thereto belongs. Love, and those beauteous eyes, beneath whose shade he lies, discover all the heart can comprehend. When vented are my cares in loud complaints and tears, these harm myself, and others those offend. Sweet lays of sportive vein, which helped me to sustain love's first assault, the only arms I bore, This flinty breast, say who, shall once again subdue, that I with song may soothe me as before? Some power appears to trace within me Laura's face, whispers her name, and straight in verse I strive to picture her again, but the fond effort's vain, me of my solace thus doth fate deprive. E'en as some babe unties its tongue in stammering guise, who cannot speak, yet will not silence keep, so fond words I essay, and listened be the lay, by my fair foe, ere in the tomb I sleep. But if, of beauty vain, she treats me with disdain, do thou, O verdant shore, attend my sighs, let them so freely flow, that all the world may know my sorrow thou at least didst not despise. And well art thou aware that never foot so fair the soil e'er pressed as that which trod thee late. My sunk soul and worn heart now seek thee, to impart the secret griefs that on my passion wait. If on thy margent green, or midst thy flowers, were seen some traces of her footsteps lingering there, my wearied life 'twould cheer, bittered with many a tear. Ah, now what means are left to soothe my care? Where'er I bend mine eye, what sweet serenity I feel, to think, here Laura shone of yore. Each plant and scented bloom, I gather, seems to come from where she wandered on the customed shore. Oft times in this retreat a fresh and fragrant seat she found, at least so fancy's vision shows, and never let truth seek the illusion dear to break. O spirit blest, from whom such magic flows! To thee, my simple song, no polish doth belong. Thyself art conscious of thy little worth. Solicit not renown throughout the busy town, but dwell within the shade that gave thee birth. Sonnet 19. Love makes me as the target for his dart, as snow in sunshine, or as wax in flame, or gale-driven cloud. And Laura, on thy name I call, but thou no pity wilt impart. Thy radiant eyes first caused my bosom's smart. No time, no place can shield me from their beam. From thee, but thou treat'st it as a dream. Proceed the torments of my suffering heart. Each thought's an arrow, and thy face a sun, my passion's flame. And these doth love employ to wound my breast, to dazzle and destroy. Thy heavenly song, thy speech with which I'm one, all thy sweet breathings of such strong control, form the dear gale that bears away my soul. Sonnet 20. Warfare I cannot wage, yet know not peace. I fear, I hope, I burn, I freeze again. Mount to the skies, then bow to earth my face, grasp the whole world, yet nothing I obtain. His prisoner love nor freeze, nor will detain. In toils he holds me not, nor will release. He slays me not, nor yet will he unchain, nor joy allows, nor lets my sorrow cease. Sightless I see my fair, though mute I mourn. I scorn existence, and yet court its stay, detest myself, and for another burn. By grief I'm nurtured, and though tearful, gay. Death I despise, and life alike I hate. Such, lady, dost thou make my wayward state. Sonnet 21. May fire from heaven rain down upon thy head, thou most accursed, whose simple fare casts by, made rich and great by others' poverty. How dost thou glory in thy vile misdeed! Nest of all treachery, in which is bred what air of sin now through the world doth fly. Of wine the slave, of sloth, of gluttony, with sensuality's excesses fed. Old men and harlots through thy chambers dance. Then in the midst see Beelzebub advance with mirrors and provocatives obscene. Erewhile thou wert not sheltered, nursed on down, but naked, barefoot on the straw wert thrown. Now, rank to heaven, ascends thy life unclean. Ode 7. From time to time less cruelty I trace in her sweet smile, and form divinely fair. Less clouded doth appear the heaven of her fine eyes and lovely face. What then at last avail to me those sighs, which from my sorrows flow, and in my semblance show the life of anguish and despair I lead? If towards her perchance I bend my eyes, some solace to bestow upon my bosom's woe, methinks love takes my part, and lends me aid, yet still I cannot find the conflict stayed, nor tranquil is my heart in every state. For, my passion's heat more strongly glows within, as my fond hopes increase. Sonnet 22. No wearied mariner to port e'er fled from the dark billow, when some tempest's nigh. As from tumultuous gloomy thoughts I fly, thoughts by the force of goading passion bred. Nor wrathful glance of heaven so surely sped destruction to man's sight, as does that eye, within whose bright black orb love's deity sharpens each dart, and tips with gold its head. Enthroned in radiance, there he sits, not blind, quivered and naked, or by shame just veiled, alive, not fabled boy, with changeful wing. Thence unto me he lends instruction kind, and arts of verse from meaner bards concealed. Thus am I taught what air of love I write, or sing. Sonnet 23. Yes, I beheld on earth angelic grace, and charms divine which mortals rarely see, such as both glad and pain the memory. Vain, light, unreal is all else I trace. Tears I saw showered from those fine eyes apace, of which the sun oft times might envious be. Accents I heard sighed forth so movingly, as to stay floods, or mountains to displace. Love and good sense, firmness, with pity joined, and wailful grief a sweeter concert made than ever yet was poured on human ear. And heaven unto the music so inclined, that not a leaf was seen to stir the shade. Such melody had fraught the winds, the atmosphere. Sonnet 24. Say, from what part of heaven 'twas nature drew, from what idea, that so perfect mould to form such features, bidding us behold, in charms below, what she above could do? What fountain nymph, what dryad maid e'er threw upon the wind such tresses of pure gold? What heart such numerous virtues can unfold? Although the chiefest all my fond hopes slew. He for celestial charms may look in vain, who has not seen my fair one's radiant eyes, and felt their glances pleasingly beguile. How love can heal his wounds, then wound again, he only knows, who knows how sweet her sighs, how sweet her converse, and how sweet her smile. Sonnet 25. Gay joyous blooms, and herbage glad with showers, o'er which my pensive fair was wont to stray. You, plain, who listen her melodious lay, as her fair feet imprint your waste of flowers. Ye shrubs so spruce, ye green unfolding boughs, ye violets clad in amorous pale array, you shadowy grove, gilded by beauty's rays, whose top made proud majestically towers. O pleasant country! O translucent stream, bathing her lovely face, her eyes so clear, while of their living light you catch the beam! I envy ye her actions chaste and dear. No rock shall stud your soil, but what shall learn Henceforth with passion strong as mine to burn. Sonnet XXVI. Oft as her angel face compassion wore, with tears whose eloquence scarce fails to move, with bland and courteous speech I boldly strove to soothe my foe, and in meek guise implore. But soon her eyes inspire vain hopes no more. For all my fortune, all my fate in love, my life, my death, the good, the ills I prove, to her are trusted by one sovereign power. Hence 'tis, whene'er my lips would silence break, scarce can I hear the accents which I vent, by passion rendered spiritless and weak. Ah, now I find that fondness to excess fetters the tongue, and overpowers intent. Faint is the flame that language can express. Sonnet XXVII. Thou, Poe, to distant realms this frame mayest bear On thy all-powerful, thy headlong tide; But the fierce spirit that within doth bide, Nor for thy might, nor aught of might doth care; Not varying here its course, nor shifting there, Before the kind wished gale it joys to glide; Clapping its wings, it seeks the laurel's pride, In spite of sails or oars, of sea or air. Monarch of floods, magnificent and great, That meet'st the sun as he leads on the day, But in the west dost quit a fairer light. Thy curved course this body wafts elate, While on love's pinions my soul speeds its way, And to its darling home directs its flight. Sonnet XXVIII. Here tarry, love, our glory to behold; Nought in creation so sublime we trace. Ah, see what sweetness showers upon that face, What brightness to this earth the heavens unfold! See, with what cunning, crimson, pearls, and gold, Her chosen vest, ne'er yet seen elsewhere, grace. 'Mid the hills' arching shades observe her pace, Her glance replete with elegance untold. The variegated flowers, the verdant blade, That grow beneath yon aged holm oak's gloom, Court her fair feet to press them, and to tread. The golden stars that stud yon beauteous sky, Cheered by her presence and her smiles, assume Superior lustre and serenity. Sonnet XXIX. The gale that o'er yon hills flings softer blue, And wakes to life each bud that gems the glade, I know; its breathings such impression made, Wafting me fame, but wafting sorrow too. My wearied soul to soothe, I bid adieu To those dear Tuscan haunts I first surveyed; And to dispel the gloom around me spread, I hope this day my cheering sun to view, Whose sweet attraction is so strong, so great, That love again compels me to its light. Then he so dazzles me, that vain were flight. Not arms to brave, 'tis wings to 'scape my fate, I ask; but by those beams I'm doomed to die, When distant, which consume, and which enflame when nigh. Sonnet XXX. The gentle gale, that plays my face around, Murmuring delightful through the verdant grove, To fond remembrance brings the time When love first gave his deep although delightful wound; Gave me to view that beauteous face, Ne'er found veiled as disdain or jealousy Might move; to view her locks that shone bright gold above, Then loose, but now with pearls and jewels bound. Those locks she sweetly scattered to the wind, and then coiled up again so gracefully, that but to think on it still thrills the sense. These time has in more sober braids confined, and bound my heart with such a powerful tie, that death alone can disengage it thence. Sonnet XXXI. The pleasant gale, that to the sun unplaits and spreads the gold Love's fingers weave, and braid over her fine eyes and all around her head, fetters my heart, the wishful sigh creates. No nerve but thrills, no artery but beats, approaching my fair arbiter with dread, who in her doubtful scale hath oft times weighed whether or death or life on me awaits. Beholding too, those eyes their fires display, and on those shoulders shine such wreaths of hair, whose witching tangles my poor heart ensnare. But how this magic's wrought I cannot say, for twofold radiance doth my reason blind, and sweetness to excess palls and o'erpowers my mind. Sonnet XXXII. O beauteous hand, that dost my heart subdue, and in a little space my life confine, hand where their skill and utmost efforts join nature and heaven their plastic powers to show. Sweet fingers, seeming pearls of orient hue, to my wounds only cruel, fingers fine. Love, who towards me kindness doth design, for once permits ye naked to our view. Thou, glove, most dear, most elegant, and white, encasing ivory tinted with the rose, more precious covering ne'er met mortal sight. Would I such portion of thy veil had gained! O fleeting gifts which Fortune's hand bestows! 'Tis justice to restore what theft alone obtained. Sonnet XXXIII. Alas! with ardour past belief I glow. None doubt this truth, except one only fair, who all excels, for whom alone I care. She plainly sees, yet disbelieves my woe. O poor in faith, but rich in charms, canst thou look in these eyes, nor read my whole heart there? Were I not fated by my baleful star, for me from pity's fount might favour flow. My flame, of which thou tak'st so little heed, and thy high praises poured through all my song, o'er many a breast may future influence spread. These, my sweet fair, so warns prophetic thought, close thy bright eye, and mute thy poet's tongue, e'en after death shall still with sparks be fraught. Sonnet XXXIV. Sweet scorn, sweet anger, and sweet misery, forgiveness sweet, sweet burden, and sweet ill, sweet accents that mine ear so sweetly thrill, that sweetly bland, now sweetly fierce can be. Mourn not, my soul, but suffer silently. And those embittered sweets, your heart that fill with the sweet honour blend of loving still her whom I told, thou only pleasest me. Moved with sweet envy, haply some may say, for that high boasted beauty of his day enough the bard has borne, then heave a sigh. While some exclaim, O hostile fortune, why could not these eyes that lovely form survey? Why was she early born, or wherefore late was I? Sonnet XXXV. Impetuous flood, that from the Alps' rude head, eating around thee, dost thy name obtain, anxious like me both night and day to gain where thee pure nature and me love doth lead. Pour on, thy course nor sleep nor toils impede. Yet, ere thou pay'st thy tribute to the main, O tarry where most verdant looks the plain, where most serenity the skies doth spread. There beams my radiant sun of cheering ray, Which decks thy left banks, and gems o'er with flowers. E'en now, vain thought, perhaps she chides my stay. Kiss then her feet, her hand so beauteous fair. In place of language let thy kiss declare Strong is my will, though feeble are my powers. Sonnet XXXVI. Graces that liberal heaven on few bestows, Rare excellence scarce known to humankind, With youth's bright locks age's ripe judgment joined, Celestial charms which a meek mortal shows, An elegance unmatched, and lips whence flows Music that can the sense in fetters bind, A goddess step, a lovely glowing mind That breaks the stubborn and the haughty bows, Eyes whose refulgence petrifies the heart, To glooms, to shades that can a light impart, Lift high the lover's soul, or plunge it low. Speech linked by tenderness and dignity, With many a sweetly interrupted sigh, Work the strong witchcrafts that transform me so. Sonnet XXXVII. The birds' sweet wail, their renovated song, At break of morn make all the vales resound, With laps of crystal waters pouring round In clear swift runnels the fresh shores among. She, whose pure passion knows nor guile nor wrong, With front of snow, with golden tresses crowned, Combing her aged husband's hoar locks found, Wakes me when sportful wakes the warbling throng. Thus roused from sleep, I greet the dawning day, And its succeeding sun, with one more bright, Still dazzling as in early youth my sight. Both suns I've seen at once uplift their ray, This drives the radiance of the stars away, But that which gilds my life eclipses e'en his light. Sonnet XXXVIII. Whence could love take the gold, and from what vein, To form those bright twin locks? What thorn could grow those roses? And what mead that white bestow Of the fresh dews which pulse and breath obtain? Whence came those pearls that modestly restrain Accents which courteous, sweet, and rare can flow? And whence those charms that so divinely show, Spread o'er a face serene as heaven's blue plain? Taught by what angel, or what tuneful sphere, Was that celestial song, which doth dispense Such potent magic to the ravished ear? What sun illumed those bright commanding eyes, Which now look peaceful, now in hostile guise, Now torture me with hope, and now with fear? Sonnet XXXIX. When sinks in ocean the sun's golden wane, And my mind darkens and the expanse of air, Soon beam in heaven the moon and each bright star, My nightly earnest of approaching pain. I then recount, ah, wretched me! In vain to the unpitying deaf each amorous care, Of love, of wayward fortune, of my fair, Of the whole world, and of myself I plain. I know not rest. My couch soft slumber flies. I wail, I sigh, until the dawn Shed tears forced from my sad soul Through my streaming eyes. Then the dun sky morn Gilds with cheerful light, but glads not me. 'Tis but one sun that cheers my life, And renders all its prospects bright. Sonnet XL. If faith impassioned and a heart sincere, If tender languishment and chaste desire, Wishing what only modest hopes require, And wandering long through passion's maze with fear, If on the brow each thought be pictured clear, If words half uttered from the tongue retire, As apprehension or as shame inspire, If on the cheek the violet's hues do wear, If dearer than oneself another prove, if constantly to weep as much to sigh, nursing the pangs, the griefs, the wrath of love, to burn when distant, and to freeze when nigh, if such fond causes doom me to despair, though death be mine, thine is the guilt, my fair. Sonnet XLI. Thou gale that movest and disportest round those bright crisped locks, by them moved sweetly too, that all their fine gold scatterest to the view, then coil'st them up in beauteous braids fresh wound. About those eyes thou playest, where abound the amorous swarms, whose stings my tears renew, and I my treasure tremblingly pursue, like some scared thing that stumbles o'er the ground. Methinks I find her now, and now perceive she's distant. Now I soar, and now descend. Now what I wish, now what is true believe. Stay and enjoy, blest air, the living beam. And thou, O rapid and translucent stream, why can't I change my course, and thine attend? Ode 8. Count the ocean's finny droves, count the twinkling host of stars, round the night's pale orb that moves, count the grove's winged choristers. Count each verdant blade that grows, counted then will be my woes. When shall these eyes cease to weep? When shall this world-wearied frame, covered by the cold sod, sleep? Sure, beneath yon planet's beam, none like me have made such moan. This to every bower is known. Sad my nights, from morn till eve, tenanting the woods, I sigh. But ere I shall cease to grieve, ocean's vast bed shall be dry. Suns their light from moons shall gain, and spring wither on each plain. Pensive, weeping, night and day, from this shore to that I fly, changeful as the lunar ray, and, when evening veils the sky, then my tears might swell the floods, then my sighs might bow the woods. Towns I hate, the shades I love. For relief to yon green height, where the rill resounds, I rove at the grateful calm of night. There I wait the day's decline, for the welcome moon to shine. Oh, that in some lone retreat, like Endymion I were lain, and that she, who rules my fate, there one night to stay would deign. Never from his billowy bed more might Phoebus lift his head. Song that on the wood-hung stream in the silent hour wert born, witnessed but by Cynthia's beam, soon as breaks tomorrow's morn, thou shalt seek a glorious plain, there with Laura to remain. Sonnet XLII. What dread I feel, when I revolve the day I left my mistress, sad, without repose, my heart too with her. And my fond thought knows nought on which gladlier, oftener it can stay. Again my fancy doth her form portray, meek among beauty's train, like to some rose midst meaner flowers, nor joy nor grief she shows, not with misfortune pressed, but with dismay. Then were thrown by her customed cheerfulness, her pearls, her chaplets, and her gay attire, her songs, her laughter, and her mild address. Thus doubtingly I quitted her I love. Now dark ideas, dreams, and bodings dire raise terrors, which Heaven grant may groundless prove. Sonnet XLIII. Still have I sought a life of solitude. The streams, the fields, the forests know my mind, that I might scape the sordid and the blind, who paths forsake trod by the wise and good. Fain would I leave, were mine own will pursued, these Tuscan haunts, and these soft skies behind, Sorga's thick wooded hills again to find, and sing and weep in concert with its flood. But Fortune, ever my sore enemy, compels my steps, where I with sorrow's sea cast my fair treasure in a vicious soil. Yet less a foe she justly deigns to prove, for once to me, to Laura, and to love, favouring my song, my passion with her smile. Sonnet XLIV. Ah me! that lovely look, that beauteous face, that gay demeanour blent with dignity, that speech, which could the soul from discord free, and too ingenuous could convert the base! Ah me! that smile by which the dart took place, whence death, nor hope I other destiny! Spirit, that worthy of a realm mightst be, lest late adorning our unworthy race! For you I still will burn, for you respire, since yours through life I've been. Of you deprived, all other woe with patience I can bear. My soul you filled with hope, and with desire, when last to these delighted eyes you lived, but now those words are all dispersed in air. Ode 9. What should I do? What, love, dost thou advise? Full time it is to die, and longer than I wish have I delayed. My mistress is no more, and with her gone my heart. To follow her I must need break short the course of my afflictive years. To view her here below I ne'er can hope, and irksome 'tis to wait, since that my every joy by her departure unto tears is turned. Of all its sweets my life has been deprived. Thou, love, dost feel, therefore to thee I plain, how grievous is my loss. I know my sorrows grieve and weigh thee down, e'en as our common cause. For on one rock we both have wrecked our bark, and in one instant was its sun obscured. What genius can with words rightly describe my lamentable state? Ah, blind, ungrateful world, thou hast indeed just cause with me to mourn. That beauty thou didst hold, with her is fled. Fall'n is thy glory, and thou seest it not. Unworthy thou with her, while here she dwelt, acquaintance to maintain, or to be trodden by her saintly feet. For that, which is so fair, should with its presence decorate the skies. But I, a wretch, who, reft of her, prize nor myself nor mortal life, recall her with my tears. This only of my hope's vast sum remains, and this alone doth still support me here. Ah me! her charming face is earth become, which wont unto our thought to picture heaven and happiness above. Her viewless form inhabits paradise, divested of that veil, which shadowed while below her bloom of life, once more to put it on, and never then to cast it off again. When so much more divine and glorious rendered 'twill by us be viewed, as mortal beauty to eternal yields. More bright than ever, and a lovelier fair, before me she appears, where most she's conscious that her sight will please. This is one pillar that sustains my life; the other her dear name, that to my heart sounds so delightfully. But tracing in my mind, that she who formed my choicest hope is dead, e'en in her blossomed prime. Thou knowest, love, full well what I become. She, I trust, sees it too, who dwells with truth. Ye sweet associates, who admired her charms, her life angelical, and her demeanour heavenly upon earth, for me lament, and be by pity wrought, no wise for her, who, risen to so much peace, me has in warfare left, such that should any shut the road to follow her for some length of time, what love declares to me alone would check my cutting through the tie, but in this guise he reasons from within. The mighty grief transporting thee restrain, for passions uncontrolled forfeit that heaven to which thy soul aspires, where she is living whom some fancy dead, while at her fair remains she smiles herself, sighing for thee alone, and that her fame, which lives in many a clime hymned by thy tongue, may ne'er become extinct, she prays, but that her name should harmonise thy voice, if e'er her eyes were lovely held and dear. Fly the calm green retreat, and ne'er approach where song and laughter dwell, O strain! But wail be thine. It suits thee ill with the glad throng to stay, thou sorrowing widow, wrapped in garb of woe. Sonnet XLV. Fallen that proud column, fallen that laurel tree, whose shelter once relieved my wearied mind. I'm reft of what I ne'er again shall find, though ransacked every shore and every sea. Double the treasure death has torn from me, in which life's pride was with its pleasure joined. Not Eastern gems, nor the world's wealth combined, can give it back, nor land, nor royalty. But if so fate decrees, what can I more than with unceasing tears these eyes bedew, abase my visage, and my lot deplore? Ah, what is life so lovely to the view? How quickly in one little morn is lost what years have won with labour and with cost. Sonnet XLVI. That burning toil in which I once was caught, while twice 10 years and 1 I counted o'er, Death has unloosed. Like burden I ne'er bore. That grief ne'er fatal proves I now am taught. But Love, who to entangle me still sought, spread in the treacherous grass his net once more, so fed the fire with fuel as before, that my escape I hardly could have wrought. And but that my first woes experience gave, snared long since, and kindled I had been, and all the more, as I'm become less green. My freedom death again has come to save, and break my bond. That flame now fades, and fails, 'gainst which nor force nor intellect prevails. Sonnet XLVII. Life flies apace, and tarries not an hour, while death behind with huge stride journeys on. Events now present, with those past and gone, and all the future too, my life doth sour. Remembrance and expectancy so lower by turns upon my mind. In truth I own, from such reflections I perforce had flown, but that self-pity doth my will o'erpower. If aught of joy this saddened heart e'er knew, it starts on fancy. But beside yon coast, by boisterous winds I see my vessel tossed. Good fortune's wished-for port is now in view. My pilot's wearied, rent my mast and sail, and those fair lights, that guided once, now fail. Sonnet XLVIII. If in sweet accent moans the plaintive bird, or green groves whisper soft in summer air, or from the fresh and flowery shore is heard down the rock's side the fall of waters fair, there where I sit, inditing midst fond care, then she, whom Heaven just showed us, now interred, whom my fond senses living yet declare, answers from skies above each sigh preferred. Ah, why to waste thy life untimely seek? With pity she exclaims, and wherefore flows that flood of sorrow down thy faded cheek? Weep not for me, death made for ever bright my days, and when these eyes appeared to close, then were they opened in eternal light. Sonnet XLIX. How often to my sweet retreat I haste, to fly mankind, nay, e'en myself to fly, bathing with tears the green turf and my breast, rending the ambient air with many a sigh. How often, dreading aught that may molest, I've roamed to glooms and shades of privacy, seeking the fair to fancy's view confessed, snatched hence by death, death to whom oft I cry. Now like a Naiad, or some form divine, from the translucent depth of Sorga sprung, and on its margin joying to recline, have I beheld her. Now, fresh meads among, treading the flow'rets like a mortal shine, while on her bard a chiding glance she flung. Sonnet L. Ne'er did fond mother to her darling son, or zealous spouse to her beloved mate, sage counsel give, in perilous estate, with such kind caution, in such tender tone, as gives that fair one, who, oft looking down on my hard exile from her heavenly seat, with wonted kindness bends upon my fate her brow, as friend or parent would have done. Now chaste affection prompts her speech, now fear, instructive speech, that points what several ways to seek or shun while journeying here below. Then all the ills of life she counts, and prays my soul ere long may quit this terrene sphere, and by her words alone I'm soothed and freed from woe. Sonnet LI. When from the heavens I see Aurora beam, with rosy tinctured cheek and golden hair, love bids my face the hue of sadness wear. There Laura dwells, I with a sigh exclaim. Thou knowest well the hour that shall redeem, happy Tithonus, thy much valued fair. But not to her I love can I repair, till death extinguishes this vital flame. Yet needst thou not thy separation mourn. Certain at evening's close is the return of her, who doth not thy hoar locks despise. But my nights sad, my days are rendered drear By her who bore my thoughts to yonder skies, And only a remembered name left here. Sonnet LII. Those eyes, of which my song so warmly told, those arms, those hands, those feet, that face so fair, Which mine own nature from myself did tear, And made me seem as of peculiar mould. Those crisped locks of pure refulgent gold, the glow that angel's smile was wont to wear, Which made our earth a paradise appear, Are turned to dust insensible and cold. Still life, O grief, O shame, in me prevails. Though dimmed those orbs which did such joy bestow, Erewhile life's bark was sped by prosperous gales. Ah, now no more my amorous strain shall flow, The customed source of tuneful genius fails, And my lyre utters only sounds of woe. Sonnet LIII. Where is that countenance whose slightest sign Could turn my easy heart now here, now there? Where those fine brows, their orbs of radiance, where That on my being did so kindly shine? Where now is worth, which sense and knowledge join, That tender accent, modest, courteous, clear? Where those united graces which endear, And which long time to rule me did combine? Where now the tempered scorn on beauty's face, Which o'er my soul has cast a grateful gloom? When there my hopes or fears I wont to trace? And where is she whose charms have sealed my doom? Ah, what the loss this sad world must sustain, And these fond eyes that ne'er from weeping shall refrain. Sonnet 54. What envy do I bear thee, greedy clay, Who dost her wrested from my sight embrace, Dost with me too dispute that lovely face, Whose beauties chased my warring woes away? What do I bear the heavens, that fold and stay, And midst themselves so eagerly could place That spirit freed from its fair mortal case, Heavens that to others rarely ope their way? What envy bear those favoured souls to whom Her sweet and saintly intercourse is known, To which desirous long I made pretence? What bear fell Death, remorseless in his doom, Who in her life extinguishing my own, Dwells in her beauteous eyes, nor deigns to call me hence? Sonnet 55. Thou vale, that with my plainings dost resound, Thou stream, augmented oft with many a tear, Ye wandering herds, ye winged tribes of air, Ye finny droves, whom shores of verdure bound, Warmed by my sighs, thou heaven that smilest round, Thou path that lead'st no more to all that's dear, Thou once loved hill that now dost sad appear, Where my accustomed guide, Love, still is found. Your wonted forms full well again I know, But not mine own. This frame, so late the abode of pleasure, Now is tenanted by woe. I see, as from those tracks I bend my eye, Her who on earth has cast her mortal load, And, an uncumbered spirit, reached the skies. Sonnet 56. My fancy bore me to that region Where dwells her I seek, on earth yet cannot find. Again I saw her amid those, consigned To the third heaven, less haughty and more fair. She took my hand, and thus did she declare: "Still shalt thou dwell with me, if hope prove kind. 'Twas I who in such warfare held thy mind, Whose day was closed ere evening could appear. No human thought may scan the bliss I prove. I only wait for thee, and to resume My fair veil cast on earth thou so didst love." How could she quit my hand, why mute become? For words thus chastely, piteously expressed, Had nearly rendered me heaven's lasting guest. Sonnet 57. Thou love, who these soul-friending banks beside In luckier times hast my companion been, And, to discharge what former debts remain, Hast converse held with me, and with the tide. Ye flowers, soft airs, streams, verdures spreading wide, Ye grots, close vales, proud hills, and sunny plain, Who form the port my amorous toils attain, Where my oppressive numerous sorrows hide. O sportful tenants of the leafy woods! O Naiad throng, and ye who battening range In grassy cool depths of the crystal floods! My days, so brilliant once, grow dark of late, E'en dark as death, that wrought the cruel change. Thus from our birth our beings have their fate. Sonnet 58. Bright spirit, from those earthly bonds released, The loveliest ever wove in nature's loom, From thy bright skies compassionate the gloom Shrouding my life, that once of joy could taste. Each false suggestion of thy heart has ceased, That whilom bade thee stern disdain assume. Now all secure, heaven's habitant become, List to my sighs, thy looks upon me cast. Mark the huge rock whence Sorge's waters rise, And see amidst its waves and borders stray One fed by grief and memory that ne'er dies. But from that spot, oh, turn thy sight away, Where I first loved, where thy late dwelling lies. that in my friends thou nought ungrateful mayest survey. Sonnet 59. Zephyr returns, and in his jocund train brings verdure, flowers, and days serenely clear, brings Prognia's twitter, Philomele's lawn strain, with every bloom that paints the vernal year. Cloudless the skies, and smiling every plain, with joyance flushed Jove views his daughter dear. Love's genial power pervades earth, air, and main, all beings joined in fond accord appear. But nought to me returns save sorrowing sighs, forced from my inmost heart by her who bore those keys which governed it unto the skies. The blossomed meads, the choristers of air, sweet courteous damsels can delight no more. Each face looks savage, and each prospect drear. Sonnet 60. Yon nightingale that pours forth tuneful wail for its dear mate, or haply for its young, fills all the vaulted heaven and echoing dale with such sweet modulated plaintive song. Methinks it joins my melancholy tale, reminding me of woe the whole night long. That death or charms divine could ne'er prevail, I weened, but now lament a thought so wrong. Who seeks security doth vainly stray. Ah me, that unto murky earth should turn those eyes which far outshone the radiant day. The precept my hard fortune would convey I now perceive, to live, to weep, and learn of every bliss below how transient is the stay. Sonnet 61. Nor beamy stars that climb the blue serene, nor fresh trimmed vessel riding the smooth sea, nor knights stretch o'er the plain in armed array, nor deer brisk bounding forest glades between, nor early tidings of some good foreseen, nor love's exalted and embellished lay, nor beauteous damsels warbling carols gay near limpid fountain or in meadow green, nor aught delightful shall this heart hold dear, which deep entombed with my loved Laura lies. Late the sole light and mirror of these eyes! So loathed and tedious now doth life appear, I fain would yield it up, again to view her, whom I much lament that e'er I knew. Sonnet 62. My verdurous and bloomy prime was past, more faintly glowed my bosom's scorching flame, and to that portion of my days I came, when life declining to its end doth haste. My hostile fair suspicion had nigh ceased, of insecurity did little dream, oft times my tender sorrows were her theme, on which some courteous merriment she cast. Now time at length that sober period brought, when chastity might fondness safely greet, and social lovers speak each inmost thought. Then death, invidious of a joy so sweet e'en in expectance, crossed me on my road, and like an armoured foe despoiled me of my good. Sonnet 63. I feel the well-known gale, the hills I spy so pleasant, whence my fair her being drew, which made these eyes, while heaven was willing, show wistful and gay, now sad and never dry. O feeble hopes! O thoughts of vanity! Withered the grass, the rills of turbid hue, and void, and cheerless is that dwelling too, where I could both have wished to live, to die. Hoping its mistress might at length afford some respite to my woes by plaintive sighs, and sorrows poured from her once burning eyes. I've served a cruel and ungrateful lord, while lived my beauteous flame, my heart he fired, and o'er its ashes now I weep expired. Ode 10. Yes, love, at that propitious time when hope was in its bloomy prime, and when I vainly fancied nigh the meed of all my constancy, then sudden she, of whom I sought compassion, from my sight was caught. O ruthless death! O life severe! The one has sunk me deep in care, and darkened cruelly my day, that shone with hope's enlivening ray; the other, adverse to my will, doth here on earth detain me still, and interdicts me to pursue her, who from all its scenes withdrew. Yet in my heart resides the fair, for ever, ever present there, who well perceives the ills that wait upon my wretched mortal state. Sonnet 64. Go, plaintive verse, to the dull marble go, which hides in earth my treasure from these eyes. There call on her who answers from yon skies, although the mortal part dwells dark and low. Of life how I am wearied make her know, of stemming these dread waves that round me rise. But, copying all her virtues I so prize, her track I follow, yet my steps are slow. I sing of her, living or dead, alone. Dead, did I say? She is immortal made, that by the world she should be loved and known. Oh, in my passage hence may she be near, to greet my coming that's not long delayed, and may I hold in heaven the rank herself hold there. Sonnet 65. Thou, Death, hast left this world's dark cheerless way without a sun, love blind and stripped of arms, left mirth despoiled, beauty bereaved of charms, and me, self-wearied, to myself a prey, left vanished, sunk whate'er was courteous, gay. I only weep, yet all must feel alarms. If beauty's bud the hand of rapine harms, it dies, and not a second views the day. Let air, earth, ocean, weep for humankind. For humankind, deprived of Laura, seems a flowerless mead, a ring whose gem is lost. None knew her worth, while to this orb confined, save me, her bard, whose sorrow ceaseless streams, and heaven that's made more beauteous at my cost. Sonnet 66. The chosen angels, and the spirits blest, celestial tenants, on that glorious day my mistress passed them, thronged in bright array around her, with amaze and awe impressed. What splendour, what new beauty stands confessed unto our sight? Among themselves they say. No soul in this vile age from sinful clay to our high realms has risen so fair a guest. Delighted to have changed her mortal state, she ranks amid the purest of her kind, and ever and anon she looks behind, to mark my progress, and my coming wait. Now my whole thought, my wish to heaven I cast, 'tis Laura's voice I hear, and hence she bids me haste. Sonnet 67. The brightest eyes, the most resplendent face that ever shone, and the most radiant hair, with which nor gold nor sunbeam could compare, the sweetest accent, and a smile all grace, hands, arms, that would e'en motionless abase those who to love the most rebellious were, fine nimble feet, a form that would appear like that of her who first did Eden trace. These fanned life's spark; now heaven and all its choir of angel hosts those kindred charms admire, while lone and darkling I on earth remain. Yet is not comfort fled. She who can read each secret of my soul shall intercede, and I her sainted form behold again. Sonnet 68. So often on the wings of thought I fly Up to heaven's blissful seats, that I appear As one of those whose treasure is lodged there, The rent veil of mortality thrown by. A pleasing chillness thrills my heart, While I listen her voice, who bids me paleness wear. Ah now, my friend, I love thee, now revere, For changed thy face, thy manners, doth she cry. She leads me to her lord, and then I bow, Preferring humble prayer he would allow That I his glorious face and hers might see. Thus he replies, Thy destiny's secure, To stay some 20 or some 10 years more Is but a little space, though long it seems to thee. Sonnet 69. Still do I weep the days that are gone by, When sublunary things my fondness swayed, And no bold flight, though having wings, I made, Haply to give of me examples high. Thou, who my impious foul misdeeds dost spy, Dread Lord of heaven immortal, viewless aid The soul that's frail, that has from duty strayed, And its defect, O let thy grace supply. Thus if life's warfare and its storm I proved, Peace and a harbour may in death be mine. Though vain my stay, I'll worthily depart. For that short period ere I'm hence removed, And at the last extend thy hand divine. Thou knowest that thou alone giv'st hope unto my heart. Sonnet 70. Sweet bird that singest on thy airy way, Or else bewailest pleasures that are past, What time the night draws nigh and wintry blast, Leaving behind each merry month and day. Oh, couldst thou, as thine own, my state survey, With the same gloom of misery o'ercast, Unto my bosom thou mightst surely haste, And, by partaking, all my griefs allay. Yet would thy share of woe not equal mine, Since the loved mate thou weep'st may haply live, While death and heaven me of my fair deprive. But hours less gay, the season's drear decline, With thoughts on many a sad and pleasant year, Tempt me to ask thy piteous presence here.
If you like the video, put a like, subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to not miss our new videos.